Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BattleTech Alpha Strike live stream with Harebrained Schemes. We're coming to you live from NGNG Studios and would like to specifically welcome you all overseas and around Europe and, well, generally all around the world. Welcome, everyone. We're very excited about the show today and ready to get started. But first, Phil will give you a quick breakdown of what we have in store today. Phil?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Phil here. Okay, today's schedule. We've got Friends of BattleTech. We actually have a few videos from people that have been involved with BattleTech for quite some time, and they want to give their support to this project, so we'll be playing some videos of that. We have the Kickstarter video live. You guys get a sneak peek at it before, well, tomorrow, so you guys are the first people to see it outside. We've got interviews where we're going to be asking questions about Jordan, Mitch, and Mike's past, as far as their involvement with BattleTech, MechWarrior, Mech Commander, etc., and of course about Harebrained Schemes. We also have a live Q&A that is with you guys, asking them direct questions that we're going to be taking and literally just asking them, so you get to ask them whatever you want. And then we're going to be wrapping it up with some info at the end. But I just want to say thank you again, guys, to everyone out there, and of course for Harebrained Schemes doing this with us. We're so excited. The hype is real and the train is real. So make sure to get excited, guys. Tomorrow the Kickstarter kicks off.
Indeed. Now, Phil, we've known about this for some time. We've been extremely excited. Obviously, we're both longtime BattleTech and MechWarrior fans. I think we should maybe give a little bit of a breakdown as far as how we got into the franchise and how we became MechWarriors or lovers of everything BattleTech. I've mentioned it before. You know, I'm a little bit older than some of you, maybe same age of a lot of you. But I literally got started at the very beginning. It was 1984. I bought Battle Droids. I remember walking into a game store up in the San Francisco Bay Area, seeing these robots, having no idea what it was, but was instantly drawn to the artwork and the whole idea of big stomping mechs. That was Battle Droids, which later got turned into obviously BattleTech. And it was from there, it was City Tech and Aerotech and Crescent Hawk, and then every single video game, the novels, probably the first, I don't know how many novels, 50 to 100, and I've read them over and over and over. For 30 years, I've been into BattleTech for 30 years, and I know that's a very common story, and a lot of people feel the same way that I do. Phil, what was your introduction with BattleTech or MechWarrior?
My introduction was actually through the novels and then multiplayer BattleTech on AOL and running up like a $400 bill with my parent, my mother at the time, because I didn't know it cost anything. And yeah, we got a bill. And then it was MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, and then I just started collecting all the books. Then I got into the card game. Then I got into the tabletop game and Mech Commander, which, by the way, shout out to Mitch, my favorite BattleTech game thus to date,
Heck
just
yeah.
saying. And that's pretty much how I got into it, was as a teenager. And so it was actually really cool. I mean, I literally carried around like at the time, Sarna.net. I printed out like the entire timeline of the BattleTech universe and like just studied it. Like I was that kid. And it was all right. I was okay with that.
Yeah, I've often called you a walking Sarna.net, but I mean, I remember I literally could not get enough. I was so drawn to the universe. Obviously, at first it was visually. I love the appeal of the big battle mechs and lasers and missiles and autocannons and all that. But then with the novels, it became more the history and the lore and the story and the drama. Just an incredibly rich universe. It drew me in instantly, and it's been a part of my life ever since. It's such an exciting day for me personally. I can't even believe, like, I'm still pinching myself that we're sitting here and we're going to have conversations with Jordan Wiseman, the godfather of BattleTech, and Mitch, like you said, who's had the main role with Mech Commander, an amazing game in and of itself, and Mike, who's not necessarily new to the franchise, but leading it into the 21st century. It's going to be awesome. I mean, what an incredible day, and so exciting.
Yeah, definitely excited. It's funny because while you're talking, I can actually see them on our Skype call, and you guys are going to be able to see them soon. But again, super excited, and of course, as a BattleTech fan, I think we can all say we've all wanted this sort of BattleTech universe to be brought out, and obviously the tabletop and the novels experience and the storyline, and that's what I'm really excited for. And I'm actually playing through one of their games, the Shadowrun Dragonfall, and I'm loving the story. So it's one of those things where I don't know, just as a fan, I'm uber excited and to see where this is going to go and what it's going to do. And so, anyways, that's what we're here to answer some of the questions that you guys have. And hopefully, most of you guys are excited. But I do want to say, if you do have Twitter, make sure to retweet. Let's get as many people that you know and we know.
Hype, hype.
Hype. Let's get them here. Let's get them watching. This video will be put up on YouTube afterwards. Don't worry if you don't see it. But I just want to say thank you again, guys, for being here. So, yeah, Darren, do we want to go ahead and move on to some of the videos that we have?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move into the Friends of BattleTech. We're going to play a few videos for you guys, some pretty cool endorsements. I think the first one we have here is Randall Bills. Is that correct?
Yep, let me go ahead and cue
Yeah,
it.
he's first on the list. Randall Bills, of course, is a managing developer for Catalyst Game Lab. So everybody that loves the tabletop that Jordan started way back in the day, Randall's the guy now. So here, let's hear a few words from Randall.
Hi, my name is Randall Bills, Managing Developer for Catalyst Game Labs, publishers of the Shadowrun and tabletop board games. So you can see, BattleTech has been a big part of my life for, well, almost 30 years now, ever since Chad, Tony, and I biked on down to the game store and picked up the box set. Got home, tore the wrapper off, and immediately dove into a three-way battle between a Battlemaster, Marauder, and Warhammer. The game was a blast. Once more, I was stunned at the in-depth universe contained in that thin box. Titanic battlemechs clashing across alien worlds, set against a Machiavellian backdrop of nobility and knives in the dark. Yeah, hooked for life. I have a lot of great memories of BattleTech over the years, but I think one of my favorites is right after I graduated high school. Jeff, Scott, Chad, and I, and a couple other friends who rotated in, cleared all of Scott's furniture out of his room. We laid down 25 maps and played 2 reinforced regiments, some 280 miniatures, playing almost every day for 3 months. Pretty crazy, right? But that's BattleTech for me. In fact, I just played a game last night. In the mid-90s, I had a dream come true as I was hired as the assistant developer at Facet Corporation. Over the last 20 years, it's been my distinct pleasure to be a driving force behind the creation of BattleTech. I've written and developed dozens of rulebooks and source books, worked with some amazing authors as we've crafted epic and dynamic storylines, worked continuity on 100 novels, I even got to pen a few of my own. Despite everything that I've been able to do, though, the new BattleTech turn-based computer game coming from Harebrained Schemes has me really excited. I've worked with Jordan Wiseman and Mitch Gittleman on a variety of BattleTech projects, from script work on Mech Commander with Mitch to crafting the MechWarrior Dark Age era with Jordan Wiseman. But this is different. This is a return to that original Succession Wars era so many of us began with. A chance to work hand in hand with the original creator of BattleTech as we craft new, fun games and amazing new storylines to tell. Again, I've been able to do an amazing things that I love for so many years. But this is a phenomenal new chapter. That 14-year-old boy just under my skin, yeah, he's grinning madly right about now. What's more, I'm really excited about the entire team at Harebrained Schemes. One of my all-time other favorite universes in Shadowrun, their series of games for that setting has been phenomenal. I'm confident they're going to bring that same passion and skill set to this game as well. This is a BattleTech turn-based computer game we've been waiting for. Thanks to you, the legion of fans, who've been here loving this game alongside me all of these years. Why don't you come on over and check out what we've got planned.
All right, there we go, guys, from Randall Bills himself. We're going to be adjusting some sound volume for you guys. Looks like some of you guys can't hear as loud, so we'll be doing that on the fly. But there is Randall Bills.
Speaking of the inner 14-year-old child, I'm glad I've watched that video myself already a few times because I can't stop just looking behind him. Number one, totally depressed about all the BattleTech memorabilia that I've lost over the years. But also just total nostalgia. His shirt, I mean, the player sheets when we first started playing, I mean, oh, it is so fun to be coming back to all this and experience it again. And yeah, our inner children, our inner childs, whatever, are just screaming excitement right now. I mean, it's just a return, more of a return to this universe, and I'm loving it. So great endorsement from Randall. And I would, that game he was talking about, how many regiments or whatever. I've never had a game like that. I got to get up to where they are and play some tabletop with them. That sounds insane.
I do think he said he'd host if we made it up there, so I think that's
Got to
appropriate.
happen, right?
Yeah, it definitely does. So, all right, who do we have up next there?
Next is Russ Bullock, president of Piranha Games, creators of MechWarrior Online. Here we go.
Hey everybody, this is Russ Bullock, president of Piranha Games, developers of MechWarrior Online. I'm excited to share a quick message with you about the turn-based BattleTech game. Hey everybody, this is Russ Bullock, president of Piranha Games, developers of MechWarrior Online. I'm excited to share a quick message with you about the... Hey everybody, this is Russ Bullock,
One
president
second
of
while we
Piranha
have some
Games,
technical
developers of
difficulties here.
MechWarrior Online.
It's always got to be something.
Bear with us, guys. We'll get it. You know who it is, right? Hey, it's Russ Bullock, president of Piranha Games.
Hey everybody, this is Russ Bullock, president of Piranha Games, developers of MechWarrior Online. I'm excited to share a quick message with you about the turn-based BattleTech game coming from Harebrained Schemes. First off, it's so exciting to see that Jordan Wiseman, the original creator of MechWarrior and BattleTech, is behind this product. It's a perfect situation, I think, for all fans to have him behind it. Number two, we're very proud of the artwork that we've created for MechWarrior Online. We feel like we've brought the franchise really into the 21st century, into the modern era, and everything looks great. And we're really excited to have an agreement in place with Harebrained Schemes where they can use that artwork. So we're going to bring a level of art consistency to the brand that really has never existed before in this franchise. So I think that's also very exciting for us and for you as players. Number three, and this is the most important thing for you as supporters or potential backers, is that Harebrained Schemes has a perfect track record when it comes to the Kickstarters. So you know as players that if they achieve their funding goals that you are going to get, finally, a turn-based BattleTech game. So I hope that all you guys will show up on Tuesday for the Kickstarter and support the product, and thanks for listening.
All right, there we go from Russ directly in his office. I just want to say, Russ, haircut, man, haircut. No, all right. So,
You know what? What the point I'd like to bring up about what he just said, and it is very exciting. You know, Phil, you and I personally know pretty much the top artists within BattleTech MechWarrior these days, and to me, it's extremely exciting that one of my favorites, Alex Iglesias, also known as Flying Debris, his artwork is going to be in BattleTech as well. I mean, he's, to me, premier BattleTech artist. He brought, like Russ said, the artwork into the 21st century. I bow down to Alex. He's just amazing. And the fact that we get that consistency is, like Russ said, it's a first. It's a first in this universe. There's been so many different takes on different mechs, and tons of them great, and it's fun. That's one of the best parts. Obviously, you and I like our mech artwork, but yeah, I think that's super significant. Are you excited as I am?
Yeah, no, and I think it's really important to note that we've seen so many iterations of the artwork throughout the days. I mean, MechWarrior 2, Mercs, and Ghost Bear were all the same, obviously, because it was the same developer, same engine, everything like that. But then we sort of had offshoots like Mech Commander where the mechs look different and stuff like that, which is fine. But to me, it's one of those things where a lot of the line art being up to date, and brought to the, I guess, new standards, and it's really exciting as a fan to see the line art being turned into actual functional looking mechs, and mechs with a consistent look across the board. And that's one thing Alex does really well. And obviously we get to, I talk to him almost on a daily basis, so it's really exciting in that regard to see his artwork finally come to fruition here. And as far as cross platforms now, cross games.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that we can agree on is that with both the Shadowrun examples that are already in existence and Alex's concept art and mechs, it's going to be a beautiful game. So I'm excited about that. We will move into the next Friends of BattleTech video, which this is an interesting one, and I think it's one that we can all relate with very closely. We have a lot of, obviously, groups within the BattleTech MechWarrior community all over the world. Every country has got their groups and their fans and their communities. And so this is from Mercstar, and it's their official endorsement. So here's from some community members. Mercstar, take it away.
This is HQ to any available units. We have mechs down at Nav Gamma. Bravo Cadet reports 4 summoners Bandits are hostile. Repeat, bandits are hostile. This is HQ to any available units. We have mech. This is HQ to any available units. We have mechs down at Nav Gamma.
We just love our intros, so that's why we like to play it a few times just to make sure that you hear the intro.
No, it's live.
Hi guys, I'm Antonius Rex, founder of the Mercstar Alliance, one of the premier fighting forces in MechWarrior Online. What you just heard was my very first experience with MechWarrior and BattleTech, back from when I was just a kid. I still get excited hearing that clip today. From that early moment in my life, I was hooked on the big stompy robot action, and that is why tomorrow is going to be such an exciting day. Finally, after so many years, a dedicated company in the form of Harebrained Schemes is coming to develop a new turn-based BattleTech game. And this is just fantastic. The gaming world has been sorely missing a title like this, and I can't wait to see what these guys can develop for us. Now, these guys have kicked butt in the past. They have had 3 very successful Kickstarter campaigns that each turned into excellent games. Not only were they high-quality games, but they were delivered on time, and they were done so with an amazing amount of interaction with the community. The people got what they wanted. Harebrained made sure of that. But perhaps more importantly, the guys at Harebrained have a passion for the story and the lore of BattleTech that really is only matched by that of the BattleTech community itself. Although it probably helps that they're being led by the legendary creator of BattleTech, Jordan Weissman. So come on people, open up your wallets and let's support this company. This could likely be one of the best turn-based tactical combat games to come out for a long, long time. And if the BattleTech community comes together and supports this game, nothing's going to stand in our way of getting that great game that we all want.
All right. Quick shout out to Mercstar and Antonius Rex. He's actually been in contact with us from the start of this. I just want to say thank you for your support, and he's also helping out behind the scenes with questions and stuff like that. So thank you again. And I think we can all, sort of look back on the years as far as MechWarrior 2 and Mech Commander, and just sort of, for me, growing up as a kid, I don't know, it was just a part of my life, and it still is a part of my life, and that's something that I really appreciate is, looking back at some of these older games, just being like, oh man, like the nostalgia is real, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that video probably resonates with a lot of people. We've over the years, obviously we've been involved with this community for a long time now, heard a lot of stories, and everybody's got one, how they were introduced and their memories and so forth. I mean, obviously a lot of people remember MechWarrior 2, Mech Commander, but I've talked to plenty of people, that got the early stuff, Crescent Hawk, and remember that first experience and the floppy disks, and everybody, it's the same thing when they talk about it. You can hear, just like Antonio said in that, the passion. This community, if nothing else, is extremely passionate, and I love this community. I've said it a million times. I'll always say it. This community is just amazing. I love that it's worldwide, it's global, and or maybe even universe, but it's just, yeah, I think we can all relate with that. But we'll move on to the
last
fourth,
one.
yeah, the fourth and final. This one is really cool because, well, I've read his work many times, as have you. The final Friends of BattleTech video is coming from Michael Stackpole. He's a BattleTech author. You're probably familiar with the Warrior trilogy, the Blood of Kerensky trilogy, and more. I can't even count the amount of times that I've read those books, just over and over and over again. And I know, Phil, you're the same.
Yep. All right, here we go, guys.
Hi, I'm Michael A. Stackpole. I've written a whole bunch of BattleTech books that you might remember, and I'm really happy to be part of this project. The first time I ran into BattleTech was kind of unusual and probably very much unlike the way that most of you did. It was the summer of 1987, and I was at the Origins Game Convention. I walked up to the FASA booth and I saw Jordan and I said, hey, I see that you're doing novels. I've written a novel. I would love to do some work for you. That's how you have to do things if you're a freelancer and want to actually make a living. And Jordan looked at me with this look on his face that I knew what he was thinking, which is, oh my God, here's another game designer who thinks he can write a novel. So Jordan and I talked, and he said they had a new game coming out called Renegade Legion, and they would send me material, and maybe I could write a novel for that. And I said, that's great, I'll send you guys samples. Sam Lewis promised to send me copies of BattleTech stuff just so I could see things. That stuff arrived in the middle of July, and I read it over a weekend. And Monday morning, Ross Babcock calls me, And he says, hey, we got your samples, read the first 6 chapters of your novel. It was from my novel, fantasy novel, Italian Revenant. And he said, I'd like to read the rest of it. And I said, great. I've read over all the BattleTech material you sent me, and I got a few ideas in case, you might need a story. Again, freelancer, caging for work. And Ross says, that's what we want to talk to you about. We want you to do a trilogy. Okay, this is great. I said, sure. And he said, it's going to be 3 books, 100,000 words each. You've got 9 months. Can you do it? This is the point where you decide whether or not you're going to have a career. If I said no, then I wouldn't get the job. If I said yes, I'd have to actually do the job. So my response was, oh yeah, sure, piece of cake. And literally the rest is history of the Inner Sphere. Hey, I just want to thank you guys for supporting this project, and if you're one of the guys who goes for one of the higher level goals, I really look forward to working with you and figuring out what your character is going to be as we go forward. I've always enjoyed interacting with people and writing them in as characters, and this is going to be a great opportunity for you to get involved with this universe that you love.
All right. And of course, Stackpole would have a creative cap sitting there on his desk, right? I mean, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, isn't that cool, hearing from Stackpole? And now he hinted at something there that you'll find out more information on soon, his involvement in the Kickstarter itself. It's very exciting and awesome. I do want to remind you, some people are saying that they're having issues with audio. We are working on it on our end. It will get better. But also, we will be having a second live stream later today. It'll be 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 1 a.m. UTC. So if you want to see it again, which of course I do, and I'm sure you guys do too, be there. But it'll also be up on YouTube as well. So no matter what, the content will be out there. If you're missing anything, you'll have a chance and an opportunity to see it and hear it again.
All right, guys, I'm not even going to really talk. I think this stands on itself. The Kickstarter video. Are you guys ready? Hype?
Oh,
no?
man, this is so good, so exciting. So turn up that volume and listen.
All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Jordan Weissman, and this is Harebrained Schemes. Hi, Kickstarter! Since we brought back Shadowrun with Shadowrun Returns, the question we constantly get is, when are you bringing back BattleTech? And the answer is, today. I'm proud to announce that Harebrained Schemes is going to make a turn-based, tactical mech combat game that is steeped in the deadly feudal politics of the classic BattleTech setting. Now, I've been making mech games a long time. Over 30 years ago, I created the first version of BattleTech as a miniatures board game and an accompanying role-playing game called Mech Warrior. Over the years, we've explored the BattleTech universe through a variety of different media, including hundreds of different novels, an animated television show, and even the BattleTech Centers, where players could get into fully operational cockpits and pilot mechs in a 3D multiplayer arena. Of course, BattleTech is best known for its many video games, including the first, Crescent Hawk's Inception in 1988, the breakout hit Mech Warrior 2 in 1995, Mech Commander, the first tactical game in 1998, and of course, the current Mech Warrior Online. Not only have I been making mech games for a long time, so has Mitch. The first one we worked on together was Mech Commander, and then he went on to do the whole series.
The thing I've always loved about BattleTech is the universe, especially the original setting of classic BattleTech.
The year is 3025, and for over 200 years, the great houses who dominate the planets of the Inner Sphere have battled each other to claim the title of First Lord and rule from the throne of a reconstituted Star League. The tool of conquest is mankind's most powerful and versatile fighting vehicle, the battle mech, adaptable to every planetary environment and with enough firepower to level a small city. With technology in decline after 2 centuries of war, mechs are precious, rare, and piloted by the nobility. Handed down from generation to generation, they represent a family's heritage, its fealty, and its future.
Now, as the Third War of Succession grinds down, the exhausted noble houses look to mercenaries to continue the fight. And that's where you come in, as the commander of your own mercenary outfit.
I'd like to introduce Mike McCain, creative director of the Shadowrun series. He'll be leading the BattleTech game with me.
I grew up playing BattleTech games. In fact, Mech Warrior 2 is one of the first PC games I ever played. So I'm really excited to be working with Jordan and the team here to create a modern, turn-based tactical mech combat game for PC.
First off, I like how it's going to be modern now because the young guy's involved. Anyway, as Mitch said,
On the battlefield, you'll command a lance of 4 mechs in turn-based combat, unleashing their awesome firepower and utilizing their mech warriors' unique abilities. To realize all of this action on screen, we'll be taking advantage of Unity 5 to make the 3D battlefield experience as immersive as possible.
your previous support has allowed us to deliver 4 games that we're really proud of. And the success of those games gives us the resources to build a great single-player skirmish game in which you can pit your mechs against enemy AI mechs.
But with your support, that base game can become so much more.
As you can see below, our vision for the game expands in 4 stages. Stage 1 is already paid for. It's the skirmish game we're funding ourselves.
If our Kickstarter hits funding stage 2, we can create a single-player story campaign for the game. In this campaign, you'll command your own mercenary outfit, struggling to survive from mission to mission amidst the feudal political turmoil of the Inner Sphere. The campaign will feature an original new story set in the deadly 3025 era of the BattleTech universe.
You'll be given missions with a variety of objectives, from sabotaging an enemy installation while posing as a lance from a rival house,
to kidnapping a minor noble in order to help aid a client's negotiating position.
Between those missions, you'll manage the finances and logistics of your mercenary outfit, from the modifications and loadouts of your mechs to the salaries and skill growths of your mech warriors.
If we hit funding stage 3, we can expand that mercenary campaign to make it much broader and open-ended, to put you in full control of your destiny as a mercenary. So alongside the core story campaign, you'll be able to take contracts from the various noble houses of the Inner Sphere.
Over time, the missions you accept and the objectives you complete will determine your reputation as a mercenary and what contracts will be available to you in the future. To make the game open-ended, we'll add a variety of side contracts and procedural mission generation so that you can grow and expand your mercenary outfit both during and after the campaign.
Funding stage 4 adds PvP multiplayer set in the famous arenas of Solaris 7. You'll be able to take your lance to the arena to fight head-to-head with your friends or to compete in ranked leaderboard play.
We've planned BattleTech to expand in these stages so we can be confident we'll make a great game regardless of the funding level we hit.
But of course, the more co-funding we can raise here on Kickstarter, the bigger the game we can make.
So let's work together to bring classic turn-based BattleTech back to the PC. Once again, Kickstarter, we thank you for your faith in us, and we look forward to making another great game with you.
All right, you suck. Let's try again.
All right, guys, holy crap, there you go, the Kickstarter video for the first time live. You guys get to see it. And speaking of which, the guys that you just saw are right here on our screen. We've got Jordan, we've got Mike, and we've got Mitch. I just want to say thank you guys for joining us, and holy crap, guys, the video, I think we're getting a lot of positive response in the chat. I think that's appropriate.
Mind's blown, no doubt about it. I do want to introduce these guys. This is
That's awesome.
Jordan, he is the studio creative director. Mitch is the studio manager, and Mike is the co-creative director for BattleTech. So happy to have you guys, and what an exciting day.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're all pins and needles, that's for sure.
Look, somebody saw our video.
I know. We were like, well, I hope they like it.
We were working on it all day yesterday. So.
Yeah,
I like
right.
when you say all day as if we didn't finish it like at midnight or something.
Day and night.
All day, all
All
night.
encompassing.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for hosting this event for us. We really appreciate it, and just so excited to be able to connect with all the different BattleTech communities around the world, and I mean, from a personal standpoint, so excited to be making a new mech game.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you guys for letting us host this and be with you. Like I said, I mean, I bought that first tabletop in '84, and so I never would have imagined back then as a kid what would be happening today. And what a return!
I was when you were doing the intro, I heard you got a Battle Droids. That's a rare beast. I think we only made 5,000 of those. You know?
Yeah.
Before those who will not be named came and told us we shouldn't use the word droid. And we do that. It's really bad when one of your childhood heroes comes and beats you up and says, "Don't use that word."
Gene Roddenberry, right?
That's right. It was Gene.
Right.
Hate that guy.
That's a whole nother story. Anyway, but yeah, so that's when we changed it to BattleTech. But yeah, there's not many of those, man. Those I know. I don't think I even have one left. The ages have taken it.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't save mine. I bought it, I had it, but most of my early days memorabilia I do not have anymore.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, wait.
We have it. We have it.
I went through all of my stuff in storage units.
Yeah, I think it's the one with the Warhammer on the cover, right?
Yeah, hold on. Mike
Oh,
remembered
yeah.
that I actually did bring it in for my storage
Yeah.
unit. There it is. That's right. The
All
guts
right.
are missing. But
Show the camera.
We still have.
Get up close.
We still have the
Close.
box.
There we go. Look at that.
That's Oh, there you go. Yes, that was the original one. Yeah, only 5,000 of these, and unfortunately, like the guts are all gone.
Actually, just by
Wait a minute.
showing that, we're going under litigation.
Some of the guts are still
Right.
there. Right. And do you remember these? It came with the model kits.
Oh man.
That was actually before.
Yeah,
my
that was
time.
actually. I'm not even sure all 5,000. I think that.
I
might have been
had
the-
that.
Smaller print run.
And that is why the Warhammer is my favorite battle mech today.
Ah.
Wow. Old school.
Yes. Very.
Well, anyway, yeah, there's a fair amount of nostalgia, but also an enormous amount of excitement about where we take the game and the franchise from here.
Absolutely. Before we get started with specific questions about BattleTech and your guys' history and your future, could you tell us a little bit about Hairbrain Schemes? What's first of all, what's behind the name, and then the studio? Tell us a little bit about the studio.
What's behind the name, Jordan?
All right. Well, the name, as my wife Dawn, who's been my creative partner for many years, says it's the only accurately named company that I've ever had. Really, the intention was to kind of set a tone internally and externally that we were going to pursue things that we were passionate about, whether they, made a ton of sense or not. Stuff that we.
I'm not sure that was the conversation we had. It was a 5-minute conversation. It's like, want to form a company? Yeah, that's a great idea. What should we call it? I got a domain name called the Hairbrain Schemes. That's us.
Well, and the impression was, I wanted to be able to really do widely diverse things, which I think is something the studio, even in its short time, has done. I mean, we've done everything from, taking Shadowrun and really bringing it into modern, CRPG land to, to doing a tabletop hybrid game to
named Golem Arcana. You can go there at golemarcana.com.
To Necropolis, which is a real-time 3D rogue, and now BattleTech. So I mean, we've enjoyed being able to do a wide diversity of things, and that's kind of where the name came from. We're just about 4 years old, right?
Yeah, we're over 4 now. Yeah, we're toddlers.
The kids grow up so fast these
Don't
days.
they?
No doubt.
Yeah, and we started with a handful of people, about 8 people, and our
Mike.
first. Yeah, Mike was one
Mike.
of 8.
Like, we should get art.
Almost one of the first.
Yeah, real
Yeah,
close.
that's
Well,
true.
that was when we said we should get art.
That's right. Wouldn't art be great? And so yeah, we started kind of doing some mobile titles, Crimson Steam Pirates and Strike Fleet Omega for iPad, and then this thing called Kickstarter came about, and Mitch said, why don't we ask fans if they would like us to do a Shadowrun game? And I was initially very skeptical. I was like, I don't really know if Kickstarter is going to be that kind of thing.
We didn't think it would last more than 1 or 2 Kickstarter campaigns.
Yeah,
remember?
for the big stuff. I mean, both of us had been supporting kind of artistic stuff on it, but that was kind of what it was all about. We were thinking that's where it was going to stay, and then then this other older large game designer came out and did a campaign, and I was like, well, if old fat game designers can do it, I can too. So said Mitch.
Wait, did you mean other old? I just for
No, I'm just saying
trying
me.
to be
I was
nice.
saying
Yeah,
I'm
there you go.
overweight.
Yeah, there we
and-
go.
Distinguished?
And I'm
Distinguished.
old. Distinguished.
Distinguished.
Right.
Wordsmith.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mike.
Grizzled, gray beard.
Yeah.
Gray beards. Anyway, so so I was like, well, Mitch, maybe you got an idea there, and that we did the Shadowrun Returns, and with that started to grow the studio up to its current size.
And that's really when we started our creative collaboration on Crimson Steam Pirates, and it moved on, but it was really Shadowrun Returns that the 3 of us hit our stride together. You know, when Mike, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Shadowrun. The very first Shadowrun piece that Mike made was this Renraku Arcology. I'm sure most of you don't know this, but it was the first piece. I'm like, oh my God, that's Shadowrun. And then when Mike did the piece that we announced our Kickstarter with, the piece with King Crab, Mike did that one too. It's like, BattleTech, yes, this guy knows. So that was really fun.
Tell me how you guys
Well,
feel
BattleTech
about.
certainly made
Oh,
a lot
sorry.
easier by all the great work that Alex and the guys at Piranha did too. It's been a real joy to work with those mech designs and the mech assets that we've collaborated with them on.
Yeah, and it's a glorious history too, and we're collaborating with Brent from Catalyst Games. Make sure we stay on the right path.
Yeah, for the visuals and Randall, who had the pleasure of raising from a pup, to who now kind of is the oracle on all things BattleTech, and so it's really been a joy working with him on this as well.
I think Randall was actually in one of my very first BattleTech games I ever played. I was taught how to play BattleTech by Mike and Brian Neistel, who were developers for the MechWarrior RPG. That's how I got into it in the first place.
We love Randall and Graybeards Unite. Mike, you got a little work to do on that, but I'm sure you'll get there
we'll
soon
take care
enough.
of
Give me just the year of this.
Absolutely.
We're aging him quick, that's for sure.
So what are you guys' thoughts on Kickstarter and how that works for smaller studios as compared to going the producer route or whatever, or the
publisher route?
Publisher route, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. What are you guys' feelings on that?
Yeah, sure. Kickstarter is instrumental to our success, first of all. We wouldn't be here without Kickstarter, I think. And Kickstarter has allowed us to really establish a relationship with a community. We make games not for the money, or we'd be in a very different job right now, but we make it for passion. We're in this kind of, it's like a performance to us. So we're really looking to connect with an audience, and that's what we've done with the Shadowrun games, with Golem Arcana, and we're really hoping to do that again because it brings you closer. We don't want the man telling us what to do or how to treat these IPs. We may have some experience with that kind of thing, and we're far. How was that?
It was good.
All right,
That was very subtle. That was nice.
And we're far more interested in working directly with and for the audience. McCain?
Yes, all of those.
Yeah, see, that's perfect. This relationship works.
I think one of the things that we've been most excited about Kickstarter is, as Mitch said, the fact that relationship with the consumer starts not after the product comes out, but during the product's development, and we feel that's helped us make better games. Being able to have kind of an audience who's involved and we get feedback from regularly, and not only from the quality of their feedback, which helps us make a better game, but also just, I know it's going to sound silly, but the emotional support.
That's a huge thing
during the development of game, because making games is a lot of late nights and weekends, and often when you're kind of dark and naughty, you're like been historically, you're working on it kind of in isolation of the audience, and you really get into this whole kind of like, does anybody care? Are we going the right way? And it can be hard to kind of maintain motivation during that. Well, now with that connection to the audience all the way through, we're getting that feedback all the time, and random acts of kindness like pizza showing up at nights or bagels being provided during the day. Which
we got that with Shadowrun anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see if BattleTech fans.
But by the way,
there's a few of them.
Yeah, Jack Daniels works really well too. Thank you.
But I think that has been, obviously the financial support has allowed us to make bigger and better games than we would have been able to do as a small studio. But that connection and emotional support has made those games, we think, even better and more rewarding to make.
Oh, and one thing I just want to add really fast, because it's really important to understand the relationship that seems to be really working for us with the audience, is a lot of times what we'll do is we'll pose a question, right? Or we'll talk about a specific topic, and rather than getting feedback directly from the audience, we don't want to have that one-on-one. It's too narrow in focus. So what'll happen is, we'll talk about a specific feature or whatever, or maybe somebody will bring up something. We'll say, talk amongst yourselves, and people will debate online, and we can watch both or all four sides of a debate or something like that to get a more 360-degree view of what the entire audience is looking for, rather than just a vocal minority. And that really helps us make games when we understand the complexity of an issue and not just a single-minded point of view.
And I think one of the other things that we've really come to appreciate is kind of sophistication of the audience. That even when we have bad news, like a feature we were really excited about that we tried and it didn't work, and we have to come and say, hey, we're not going to be able to do that feature and here's why, or we tried it and we have a different idea. The audience has always responded enormously constructive to that kind of feedback. Being able, as long as we've always been kind of completely open about, here's what happened, here's why, we tried a feature, didn't work, whatever it might be. Their feedback on that has always been really positive. I mean, I think, and it demonstrates a kind of a sophistication of understanding the creative process and the technical challenges that a project might face.
Well, we're not this giant corporation making games in an ivory tower. I wish we could turn the camera so you could see the
very short tower.
It's a very short tower without working air conditioning, and it often gets to 91 degrees in here. But we're just a bunch of people working at 4-foot by 2-foot desks, very close together, doing our best to make a game. And we want to be people that are making games, and we want you to see us as fans like you that just happen to have spent the last 25 years learning how to make games.
So guys, speaking of communication, one of the things that you guys were talking about was you guys take sort of a different approach than some studios I've seen, which is, hey, we're just going to be open, we're just going to be honest, straightforward, and sometimes the answers you may not like. So if there's like a delay or maybe a disagreement, and that's something that I'm looking at you guys and I like. But as far as Kickstarter, what are some of the challenges that you run into with communication? And what do you think, if someone's looking at backing this project, what should they expect out of the development? Because, obviously it's going to take a bit for it to get done and stuff like that. But what are sort of the expectations that you want to set for them and your relationship?
Well, let me start, if you don't mind, because Jordan and I, McCain perhaps in the future, but we have 2 very successful long-term marriages. Right? No, this is going somewhere. And we consider our business partnership to be like a marriage too, which means that, the bumps in the road, if you think about them as a really long-term committed relationship, any disagreements you have are kind of minor when you stretch it out over that time frame. And so the way we think about it, by being this open and this honest and this direct with our audience, is we're trying to create a long-term relationship with you guys too, so that maybe the next time we make another game that isn't BattleTech, you might want to try that because we have this relationship and you're willing to, well, that's kind of polyamorous, I suppose.
I don't know.
All right, yeah. I'm not sure.
I was going somewhere with this, but the point is we're trying to develop a long-term relationship, and part of that is being open and direct, so that we can cover any dips in the road or bumps in the road. All right, hit it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's basically, as we said earlier, what we've learned is both individually inside the company with the team members and externally with our backers is, if there's bad news, just say it right away. And give context around it so you understand why, what happened and why, and where we're going from there. But to try to bury the bad news is only going to make things worse much later. And the last thing you want to do is go quiet, right? I mean, our whole thing is we really enjoy that dialogue, and so we're committed to it. This is going to be a longer term, development, right? We're looking at about an 18-month development period. So, we want to make sure that is an active, ongoing conversation throughout that year and a half, not just, hey, thanks, we're going to go quiet now and ship a game in a year and a half from now.
Yeah, now occasionally we'll send out a Kickstarter update that says, we're not going to put out any more updates for a little while because we have to really, 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 really focus to hit our next milestone or something like that. But we'll tell you in advance. And yeah, that's a trigger. If you ever see a Kickstarter that just stops communicating, there's a reason for that.
I want to add that this is what Mitch and Jordan's marriage looks like.
Can you get that?
It's very affectionate.
Bromancy.
Oh, God.
Wow.
See, guys, there was a reason he was on his phone.
You're welcome. Yeah. yeah.
All right.
Everybody's wondering, what's he doing? Looking up sports, or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's one we owe you pile there, Mike. Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Well, speaking of the community, the fans, the audience, our live studio audience, we are going to move into the live Q&A. But first, we've got a lot of questions that we've already been fishing questions, guys. So if you have questions in the audience, go ahead and post them. We have some moderators that are taking your questions down. They will get asked. But a lot of questions about specific development issues or whatever interest. What can you guys tell us about basically where it is in development. I mean, I already know, but why don't you clarify?
Sure, do you want to take on?
Sure, yeah. We are, we've been prototyping for a little bit here, obviously doing a lot of pre-production on the game itself to prepare for the Kickstarter. And one of the things you'll see on the Kickstarter page is the game sort of expands in these 4 different funding stages. So we've kind of designed the project around that concept so that we adjust the scope of what we're making to match the funding that we achieve.
And I think the key to add there really fast is safely adjust the scope, right?
Yeah.
So all these funding stages aren't going to explode the project and make our hair fall out.
Yeah, and
Too much of it.
So we've been in pre-production for almost 2 months now. We anticipate pre-production will take for about another 2+ months as we go through additional prototyping and design work. The pre-production team we keep relatively small. Right now I think we're about 8 people, and that will be kind of the size pre-production will stay at, and then after we exit pre-production, then team members really start to come on it as we've got kind of a solid foundation, both from a code standpoint and from an art design standpoint and from a game design standpoint. Now we can start adding team members to build on the foundation built by the pre-production team. So the anticipation as we get towards the end of the years and into the beginning of next year is when really the team will start to swell up to its full production size. And then it'll maintain that size, pretty much all the way through ship.
All right, got a question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, there was a slight hiccup. Got a question. Got a question for Mike. Mike, this is in regards to art and art direction. Your concept art in the Kickstarter video, definitely different feel and vibe. Looks very gritty. Looks a lot of like your concepts for Shadowrun and stuff. Can you just sort of talk about maybe a generalized idea or direction that you're wanting to take this game and sort of the look and the feel?
Yeah, definitely. So, our art team's been doing an awesome job over the last few weeks pulling all these illustrations and concepts together for the Kickstarter. I think one of the things that really struck us about kind of revisiting BattleTech and classic Inner Sphere setting is just how evocative those stories are and how grounded it is in characters and sort of the real world-esque conflicts that happen in the world. So I think one of our big pushes with the art has been to give the setting consistently that sort of grit and grounding and nuance to it, right? Like there's robots and the robots are awesome, but they really exist in this fallen world where war for hundreds of years. We're third succession wars just wrapped up. Technology's in a state of decline. There's a lot of fun. Mechs don't look perfect. Dozens of campaigns. Warriors are sweaty. They're going from battle to battle, and the mechs get really hot, and just that sort of thing. Trying to really bring that extra
and grounded
level of
reality.
detail to the world. Yeah.
And this is something that one of the reasons we wanted to set the game in 3025 is because some of the original themes of BattleTech are the clearest in that era. The fact that the universe is in a technological retrograde, so that the older the mech, actually the better performing it is. There's still new mechs coming off of a limited number of production lines that are still running, but those actually don't perform as well as the older ones. And one of the reasons I originally did that 30 some odd years ago is because I wanted to play a story that was really counter to what we were experiencing in our everyday life, which is this enormous technological up curve that we've been living through. And I thought it'd be fun to kind of explore a universe which was moving in the opposite direction. And so we've really tried to capture that in some of the art that Mike's team has been working on, where they really do look like they're built out of pieces from old mechs that have been put together. We really want to capture, especially for mercs, right, who are so dependent on battlefield salvage. And salvage was an important part of the original 3025 setting, and we really want to bring that to life in a very kind of contextual way within the game. So we want that both reflected in game systems and in the artistic approach.
Yeah, I have to say, as far as artwork goes, ever since I've seen the artwork rolling out from you guys, every single time I see a new one, I can't wipe the smile off my face for hours. The artwork screams BattleTech. I love it. It's beautiful. And I know I haven't played Shadowrun yet. You guys gave me keys.
I'm playing
I will
it.
play He's playing it, but I promise I'll get to it. But a lot of people in the NGNG crew have played it, love it, and all I hear about artwork, story, and that is so awesome. That's a big part of what BattleTech is for me and what MechWarrior is for me. So congratulations on just doing beautiful artwork. I can't wait to see more of that rolling out. And yeah, I know a ton of my friends and the people within the community are just as excited as I am about that. We are going to start moving into some of the questions. We had quite a few questions regarding Unity 5 and what that's bringing to the table. So I'm not going to say specifically who asked because there was several of them. So could you guys give us some information on Unity 5, why you chose Unity 5, and what that's going to be doing for the game?
Yeah, definitely. So we've been a Unity shop for several years now, so we've got a lot of good in-house experience with that tool set on our design team or an engineering team. But moreover, I think Unity 5 represented a big step up in the Unity tool set for visuals. It's got physical-based rendering now, so we can do a lot more kind of cool stuff with our shader and lighting model in the game. It's got a much better set of UI tools for UI layout, both for art and engineering than Unity 4 did, which we learned the hard way on Shadowrun. Shadowrun Returns. So I think I'm really looking forward to just those two things in particular, and how that will both speed development and allow us to add that extra level of visual fidelity to the game.
And from an engineering standpoint, I think one of the big things we're excited about is a lot more support for multiplayer game, which is something we hope to be able to take on in this project if we hit the right funding stage. But it has a much more robust set of tools for us to work with in multiplayer.
All right, next question we have, and this is from Varnes, and he says, possibly for inclusion of quadruped mechs. We've never seen like the Scorpion and quad mechs. And then also with that many questions, is tanks, air units, infantry, are they going to be able to control? So in general, are we going to see quad mechs, and are players able to control and to go up against tanks, infantry, air units?
So we'll take those as two separate questions. One, we haven't finished the full mech list yet. We've got a year and a half of development, and we're going to kind of, start that out. We will have a list of mechs we know we're going to be in, and that'll be on the Kickstarter page. But we haven't knocked all of those down. Quad mechs are hard. Just start by saying that. So I don't think we at this point can kind of like sign up to say for sure that they're going to be in. I think we have to get through the rest of our kind of technical due diligence on during pre-production and art due diligence before we would know if we want to take on that challenge. So at the moment, I think we'd have to say maybe. We can't sign up for that one yet.
What about combined arms?
That one is like you'll see is one of the first things we really want to add to the game, and we want to be able to, because combined arms are important for a couple of reasons. One, to be the king of the battlefield, which a mech is, there needs to be pawns, and bishops and everything else beneath you for you to feel like the king. And so it's important to be able to get units that have different kind of power levels. We definitely want to do combined arms, being able to do vehicles of all sorts. Infantry, we are optimistic about, but not confirming yet. Again, we want to do.
What Mr. Weissman said was that we're not committing to infantry.
Yeah,
until...
but it's something we'd love to do. We got to see. We got more due diligence to do on that yet. But all different types of scales of vehicles we'd love to do, and aerotech, fighter support, artillery support. Those are things we definitely we see in scope, and again depends on kind of how how the funding stages go. But that is something we definitely would love to add to the.
Seriously, I can't stop smiling as you guys are talking about this. Now, next
That's
question.
actually
is,
our job, by the way.
I know.
Is to make people smile.
I'm 100%, man. I just can't stop here. But okay, so next question is from Daishi424. He's wondering, the Alpha Strike title, is that part of the game name or just part of marketing? Does that hint at things to come, such as expansions?
That is a great question, and I'll grab that one. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the title of the game. The game is BattleTech. There's no subtitle. It's BattleTech. You know what we're making? BattleTech. Alpha Strike is all about everybody out there It's all about the global BattleTech community coming together to say, you know what? This means something to us, and we're going to show the world that BattleTech has a serious place in gaming history, and we're going to do it by alpha striking Kickstarter tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific time. And the idea is we want to send a clear message to the rest of the gaming world that we are here, you know, and we're proud of this, and we're going to make the best damn game we possibly can, and we'd like a show of support. If everybody in the world showed up day one, hour one, with an alpha strike and just hit with just one button, what would happen?
I think what you mean, all the BattleTech fans, because if,
if
all 7 billion people hit, you know.
I am calling on the entire world right now.
Well, what would happen is
Very bold.
multiplayer. So what I'm going to say right now is everybody, let's do it. This starts again, like Mitch just said, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 5 p.m. UTC tomorrow. So I would love to see multiplayer guaranteed by the end of tomorrow.
So-
I think we can do it.
So the question is, what happens if they hit that really quick? Will there be more? What do you guys have more plans than that, or is that, you know? But speaking of actually plans, next question we have is Cycloner M asks, clan DLC or expansion also hashtag moddable question mark?
That's 2 questions again.
Yeah.
I'm just relaying it. That's all I'm doing. Don't kill the messenger.
Okay. In the BattleTech game that we're doing right now, set in the 3025, right? The clans have not shown up with all their cool tech yet, right? We know, looking backwards, that there were people from the clans in the Inner Sphere in the guise of Wolf's Dragoons, but they weren't showing their hand yet. And so by unrolling all the cool tech, so that's the space this game lives in. And so we're not going to see cool clan mechs in this game. Now, we hopefully in the future we get to make more games, and we'll see where that goes. But in this game, we're not going to see the cool clan tech. In terms of modification of mechs, yes, quite extensively. One of the things that we're really excited about that the turn-based structure gives us is not only great tactical control, but the ability to reflect a deeper level of modding on game mechanics than you could in a real-time game. So that you can really see the differences that switching out kind of lower level of components for those who want to dive that deep, and this would obviously be optional, but for those who want to dive that deep and start messing around with actuators and gyros and that kind of stuff, that actually we can show the performance difference that takes place because we have the luxury of turn-based to do that in.
Now, for a lot of people, modding means, hey, I can import my own stuff.
Right. So right now, we're not looking at importing our own stuff. The skirmish game.
Our lead engineer just pumped his hand in here.
The skirmish game
Breakfast Club moment.
that we're starting with will have a scenario design component where you can set up your own scenario, right? So you can decide, what map you're playing on, what the objectives and victory conditions are, what units are being played, and again, some of the things we'll see in stretch goals, what kind of environmental effects are taking place, those kind of things. So you can set up great scenarios to play in the skirmish game, but that's as far as our kind of initial our modding kind of stuff goes. Right now, we're not looking at bringing in custom textures for mechs or things like that. We will hopefully have an emblem, a design system, so that you can create your own regalia. Because one of the things, again, that we really want to emphasize in this era of 3025, and one of the things we loved about the initial kind of setting was that more feudal nature and fact that these aren't just 5 governments, right? They are 5 feudal noble houses all fighting with each other, and that sense of handing down mechs, from generation to generation, like feudal societies would hand down armor from nobility to nobility, is some of the things we really want to emphasize. And so,
they're going after the throne of the first lord.
Yeah, exactly. And so that whole kind of family history and the kind of noble house or even any kind of, the emblems. What's the word I'm looking for? Heraldry. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, the heraldry is something that we really want to feature in the game. So there'll be a great system for being able to do that. But that's as far as we're anticipating right now in terms of modding. Anything wrong?
Nope. That's
All right,
great.
good. Just checking.
All right,
We both have guns.
we have a follow-up in regards 3025. Was there any particular reason that was chosen? I know you've mentioned a few things here or there, but is there anything more in depth? Why did you choose that instead of maybe an earlier or a later timeline?
Well, one of the reasons that we chose that is because at that particular point in history, the noble houses are a bit exhausted after the third succession war, and they turned largely to mercenaries to become the pointy end of the spear in their Machiavellian politics between each other. So their ambitions didn't become exhausted, only their military resources. And so it's a really fun period in history that allows individual mercs to become more important in terms of how the story of the Inner Sphere unfolds. And we wanted to do a mercenary-based game because one of our, many of us remember very fondly the MechWarrior 2 and MechWarrior 3. Mercenary was
MechWarrior 4 mercenaries.
Yeah, it was 2 and 4.
Right.
Mercenary campaigns which are just they're more individual agency, more freedom to chart your own course in the Inner Sphere, declare your loyalties rather than be kind of hardwired into working for a particular faction or trying to navigate between them without having to declare loyalties. And we wanted to pick an era where that freedom was available to players, and we thought the mercenary setting allowed us to do that.
Yeah. I guess I'll just add really quick. I think also, it's a little bit more of a Cold War setting than an all-out war setting, and I think storytelling standpoint, that's actually a lot more fertile ground in some ways for the types of stories that.
All right, so the skirmish mode sounds a lot like what we did see in MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries, the skirmish mode being able to just toss a map, the mechs, and stuff like that, so that sounds like that. Got another question we have, and this is, I know you guys were expecting it. This is from Mara, and it says, can Jordan comment on the recent re-seen, or unseen, and elaborate why or how that became unseen after a lawsuit with Harmony Gold in the 90s, or, the details behind the scenes, and what does that mean for this game?
Oh man, I might as well go get a cup of coffee. This will be.
Yeah, I got my popcorn.
We're going to keep that short. But Mike went to go get a cup of coffee anyway. So BattleTech, as you saw off the initial battle droids, right? When he did the original game, it was under license to the plastic model kit factories who were producing all these model kits and had a whole bunch of extra inventory. And so we licensed all those images to use in the game from that point. This is long before Robotech existed. When Robotech came into existence, then there became a conflict point about the licensed images, and we eventually just kind of decided it was better to withdraw from the field in that regard. We've moved on, many years since that. Those mechs still exist in the universe. It's only the specific envisionment of those, the only kind of visualization of them, that was a challenge. I think there's been great work done recently to re-envision those mechs to find, unique kind of renderings of them that are different from the source, from the original source material, but capture some of the mechanical essence, what the mechs did in our game, our universe, and we're excited about those developments. As I said, our mech list isn't final yet, and it'll be won't be for many months as we go through development. So we don't know exactly which mechs are going to make it into our game or not, with the exception of kind of like a committed list of about 25 that we know we're going to be able to do, and then after that we'll see where both development and the world takes us.
Excellent. All right, another question. This has been asked again by a lot of people. I keep actually seeing it scrolling by, different people asking, the same person asking over and over. Don't worry, guys. We're getting your questions on the doc. You don't need to repeat for the most part. Anyway, this question is about the Axeman, the Hatchet Man, and melee combat. Any chance of that in the game? What are your thoughts on melee?
Whenever he says, "I'm watching the lead," okay, lead engineer did this.
I already know.
So this is something. This is something that I was very strong on from the very beginning, and Mike and Chris, who's our lead engineer on the project, totally backed me up on this right from the start, which is that this game needed to have physical combat, right? It needed to have melee. Part of what makes a mech and not just a tank is the fact that it can walk up to another mech and beat on it, and so we definitely wanted to make that happen. And again, it's one of the reasons that we went turn-based. We can do that so much more realistically, not from realistically in terms of like rendering, but just realistically from a development standpoint and engineering standpoint.
We can do it.
Yeah, in turn-based than we could in real time. And in fact, some of the as Mike mentioned, we've been going through different prototypes. These are very, and part of our criteria for a successful prototype is whether how it handles melee combat. So yeah, we are totally signing up to make sure that this game has melee combat, and that does mean that things like I love Dwayne Luce's Hatchet Man. It was one of my favorite early mechs. It was actually when we started to look for kind of our own look and feel. It was the drawing that to me just started to capture what was unique about our world and how we were going to take the visual design. And so yeah, I'm love to see that one and see that one in the game.
Glad we could answer one question that was like a big, everybody wants this, and the answer is yes.
Yes.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if it was the voices in my head that I heard, or literally if I just heard people around the world cheering. Yeah, you just made a ton of people happy.
Had an Obi-Wan Kenobi moment.
Yes, indeed, a disturbance in the Force, a positive one.
A good one this time.
Yeah, I think Phil's got the next question.
Yep, a Uber boy asked question. What happens for those of us who already bought at Gen Con? How will that work with additional tiers and whatnot?
Yeah, so we so at Gen Con and at PAX for kind of who fans who were there, who were at the shows and wanted to get involved early, we offered a nice set of dog tags, and if people bought those, that signed them up for our $50 tier. And so people who bought that are already backed at the $50 tier. And when the Kickstarter goes live tomorrow, if you look at it and go, yep, that's what I want, then you need to do nothing. You're already there. If you decide that you want to upgrade to a higher tier, that's awesome. We appreciate that. And
we will not stand in your way.
There's an email that'll be going out with instructions for how to do
that.
Exactly.
To those people.
All right, awesome. The next question is from Impaler, and I've seen this question asked a few times as well. I'm going to expand on it. His question is, will we see any hero mechs, such as Widowmaker, maybe Yenlo or whatever, or any other iconic mechs in the game? And then to expand on that, maybe any iconic figures, people within the univerce?
Is this a mystery?
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah,
there are some funding goals for that.
Yeah. So again, what you'll see in the campaign is we have the big stages that we outlined in the video, and then there'll be kind of smaller stages in between those, and one of those is
funding goals on the way.
Yeah, to the big ones, and one of those is legendary mechs and mech warriors. That we'd love to be able to add, that are unique configurations of existing mechs and with storied backgrounds, and legendary mech warriors who would be hireable to your mercenary companies, at least for some period of time. They tend to be busy, so they might move on quickly. But yes, we want you to be able to get involved with some of the really notables, right? I mean, I don't know how many games I've played where I just wanted to run Black Widow Company, right? And have Natasha and her crew, and so yes, that's talk about, I wasn't 14. Well, I'm always kind of internally 14.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's one of our major.
We all know this.
That's our major problem. But yes, that's my 14-year-old moment.
I think that's the little engine that drives the place.
But yes, we definitely want to see that happen.
Well, Mitch, I saw in that Kickstarter video the picture of Natasha behind you in that cover.
Yeah, we've got a lot of BattleTech art. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Original BattleTech arts.
Oh,
it's
good stuff.
Like working in history. It's cool.
Love it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of my favorite paintings from the early days, and I've been pulling those out of my storage units and bringing them into the office.
Wait, I'm gonna get one. Show.
Oh, hold on.
I know the one I want to show.
I'm left alone. That's it. So why they're gone? Any private questions? Anything I can tell you about these guys?
What's your favorite mech?
What's my favorite mech?
You've never been asked that before, right?
Oh my God.
What's your favorite child?
That's right. Yeah, no, I have to answer that one like I would with my kids.
And remember this?
That was the cover to the first tech readout. Actually, no, second tech readout. That was Dwayne Luce's great piece.
That's an original too, isn't it?
It is, yeah. These are all originals. Dwayne is someone I just enjoyed working with enormously. The early days of BattleTech, and very talented.
I remember buying each one of those. Sorry.
Wait, I can't quite hear you.
I remember buying each one of those TROs, and I mean, I could sit for just hours. Looking at the pictures, drooling over those, reading every little bit of information. I mean, Jordan, you took up most of my life, is all I'm going to say, and I'm not complaining.
Well,
I love you for it.
Appreciate that. I remember, the horizontal layout of that book.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and that came directly from my same experience, just drooling on the Joe Johnson sketchbooks from Star Wars, which were in that same horizontal format. And I was like, those meant so much to me, and I was like, I want to use that same format. It's a little ode to him on that, because
it's always interesting to hear somebody's inspirations when they do stuff like that. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we have another one. It's a Man Wet the Valor. He says, how different will the game be from Mech Commander 1 and 2? They were both good, but not great in relation to how the tabletop game is played. I disagree, but whatever.
Yeah, people have their opinions.
Well,
but actually,
let me start with that one. Mech Commander was a real-time tactical game, so trying to get that depth of control in there was really hard to do in a real-time game. That's why in Mech Commander Gold, which was the campaign was called Desperate Measures, we added the ability to pause and give commands and then unpause, sort of throwback to sort of Baldur's Gate. And so that's why we did that, to give you even more control. But that's why, for example, heat control, heat management isn't in Mech Commander, because we had it in and we cut it because your mechs would suddenly shut down in real-time combat. And you're like, wait, no! And so, it's about the medium. It's about this particular game is played this particular way.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges with real time, and even with turn based, but much less so, is the amount of information overload. Right. The tabletop game has a great deal of fidelity of managing each mech, and when you try to convey all of that in a real-time game, it's basically impossible. So you have to keep kind of making levels of abstraction to make it manageable. In the turn-based game, one of the things we're excited, the reason we wanted to go turn-based is because we can get to much more of that, right? We still face the challenge because you're not managing a mech, you're managing a lance. And so that means that there's, 4 of these things going on in terms of being able to manage all that detail. And importantly, you gotta, look at everybody you're facing as well. So we do face the kind of information overload challenge as well, but it's a much simpler challenge because of its turn-based and allowing us to get into much more depth than really any of the real-time games ever could.
It allows the player to set their own pace for play. One of the things I'm always really passionate about when it comes to design and sort of user experience work is basically a layered approach to the information, right, where we can surface the key information that you would need to use typically to make certain decisions on the battlefield and really expedite that process for you without sacrificing the information that lies beneath. Still go down a level and see exactly what's going on back or a particular firing solution.
All right, we're having a little bit of sound difficulties there, but it's all right. We're going to push through it. So follow up to that. What would you say, a reference to turn-based strategy? We keep hearing, XCOM or even Shadowrun. Is that sort of what people should expect? That sort of, or do you have another example? Like that's what people are asking about. Like, is it going to be Mech Commander? Right. What's the difference?
Yes and no. I think philosophically, kind of what I was just talking about. There's definitely a good balance of sort of creative play with tactical complexity that is not terribly far off in those examples relative to what we want to do. But as far as how the Battlefield experience plays out and the mechanics of the game, I think for BattleTech we're looking at something very different. Covers is something in a game like Shadowrun or XCOM. Don't really hide behind things so much. They stomp on things. So, it's things like that that craft a very different experience in BattleTech than maybe you'd see in Shadowrun.
And also, I think we've also heard the question about, is this going to be very RPG-like Shadowrun? And we want to, just because that story is very important to us, but we view them in two different priorities, right? Shadowrun is primarily an RPG with tactical combat. This is a tactical combat game with a rich story. It's not, we're not looking at making, it's an RPG. While it has small RPG elements, this is first and foremost tactical combat.
All right, awesome. Here's a question that I just saw go by. We are trying to, for the most part, ask in the order that we get them. However, we do have a lot of repeats, and so we might jump around a little bit. But this one is something I'm interested in. Jordan, you brought us the BattleTech cartoon in the 80s. This is a question from the Magician. He's asking you specifically. At one point, Dean Devlin was producing a BattleTech movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yep.
Deep pull there. It died once Paramount decided to take on Transformers. Has there been any other interest in doing a movie?
Well, the movie rights are actually now owned by Michael Eisner, ex-CEO of Disney. He acquired those rights when he acquired Topps. And so he and his team, Durante, are kind of charting that course forward. They're nice enough to stay in touch with me and involve me as they make progress. I'm not aware of any current kind of negotiations or pre-production plans.
I smell a stretch goal.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Alpha Strike.
Yeah, that would not be. Unfortunately, that's not in our purview. But yeah, no, I mean, Dean. Really enjoyed working on the project with Dean. He's a great guy, and I think that would have been a good solution if Paramount had decided to step up to it. I think that would have been a great team and a great movie. But I think part of Mitch's challenge to the community is to show that there really is an audience out there, and that is only going to help Michael Eisner in his discussions with the studios to be able to say, yeah, there's an audience out there that's waiting for this thing. But yeah, not aware of any current plans for it.
All right, and of course,
but maybe we could flash Eisner's email address at the bottom of the screen.
Right.
Oh yeah, that'll
we can
score
make
me
it
lots
happen.
of points.
Of course, the cartoon was the 90s. I'm stuck in the 80s. I can't help it. I'm sorry, I'm an 80s boy. But anyway, Phil, you got the next one?
Yes, I do. And it's from Bandit17. And he says, hire George Ledoux. But also we had other questions that were in regards to Shadowrun, used text-based. Is this, or are you going to use actual voice actors for this title?
Number one, we love George Ledoux. We do. He's great. He's got a great set of pipes on him.
Yep.
So we're already talking to George. And if we're lucky enough, there is one of those funding levels where we add voice support, voiceovers to the game.
Right. Yeah, and just to put a caveat around that, because the stories are going to be enormously diverse, and because we want players to be able to chart their own course, we're not in a situation where like all dialogue would end up being voiced. What we're looking at is kind of recurring characters who would be
or key events.
Yeah, and key events that would be voiced because we don't want to be. We want the story to be richer than really the ability to do voice every single line.
And things like unit emotes too.
Exactly.
Like one of your mech warriors calling out when they're about to overheat. That sort of.
Absolutely.
Actually, one of the people in this room was a voice actor on Mech Commander 2.
Oh.
True story. Can I hear it?
Are we going to name and shame?
It's not working. Wow.
Yep.
She's
shy.
She's shy. Her character's name was Dagger, and she at home sometimes she yells, "I'm in a minefield." Good work. Really good work.
That's awesome.
IMDb entry and everything.
There were some questions about soundtracks. A lot of people asking about Timothy Seals and working with him. I know he's working with game designers now. What is the information that you can give us regarding soundtrack music?
Yeah, John Everest did the soundtracks for a lot of Shadowrun Dragonfall and all of Shadowrun Hong Kong. We've had a really great creative collaboration over the years, so we're excited to have him on BattleTech as well.
And John is award-winning, and you'll hear some of his music on our Kickstarter page tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific time.
Well, and you already heard some.
Yeah, in
the video.
Yeah, that was just a little sketch of his, but yeah, we'll see where he goes. And what's great about John also, if you read like the IGN review that just came out, well, go ahead and say it then.
No, you're
all right.
You're on a roll.
This is the creative collaboration we're looking for. So in the IGN review, it's like, okay, Shadowrun Hong Kong, here it comes. And the very first thing is all about the music. It's like, no, the hell with your gameplay, the hell with your story. Let's talk about the music. So we feel real good about working with John.
Excellent. Okay, for those of you that are asking also, if you missed the Kickstarter video earlier, it will be, we're doing another show later today with these three guys, 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST, 1 a.m. UTC. The Kickstarter will launch tomorrow, 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST, or I'm sorry, 10 a.m. PST, 1 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. UTC, and then the videos will also go up on YouTube. So you'll get a chance. If you missed anything, it'll be out there, including the music during the Kickstarter video.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next question we have is from T839515. He says, and this is you guys were just talking about story, and I think this relates very well. BattleTech is more than just mechs shooting mechs. Are you going to dive deeper
right.
into,
Yeah,
damn right,
absolutely.
right? And punching mechs and kicking mechs. But are you going to dive deeper into the lore that makes up the universe in any sort of metagame outside of the skirmish mode? For example, Lost Star League caches, political intrigue, Comstar's secret agendas, the decline in technology, etc.
They're just doing our job for us.
I was going to say,
great.
somebody's
Yes.
writing right out of our playbook. Yes, you'll see that's to us one of the most exciting parts, right? The skirmish game is what we're funding. We're going to make that right now with the money that we've earned from previous games. Where we're asking the fans to help us is to extend that skirmish game into campaign play, right? Where we really do get to tell the story of the world and the political intrigue that makes up the Inner Sphere such an interesting place, right? The Machiavellian politics that exist, at every single level in this feudal society, that makes it such a fascinating and dangerous place to inhabit. So yes, those are exactly the kind of things we want to get to, and those are what you'll see. So many of our stretch goals are all around is being able to tell that story, because again, that's one of the things that as we look back on the kind of adaptations that have been done previously, it's the place where we haven't been as rich in the electronic world as the tabletop and novel world ever was, and one of our goals is to change that.
And our writing team is chomping at the bit to jump into that.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we're also really excited to have Mike Stackpole involved, who's going to, work on novellas, that are in the same setting and era and characters, and just Steve Peterson and other writers from the past that who've just been really part of the BattleTech universe. We're excited to have them involved with us in telling this story in this setting.
And continuing with the writing team from Dragonfall and Shadowrun Hong Kong that's received
a
lot of praise over the last year.
Yeah, I mean, what's great is some of the people that have come and joined us are here because like you guys, like Philip and Darren, they grew up playing these games and they love these worlds, and so they've come to the studio to help make them. And so they don't come at it from a dispassionate point of view. It's quite the opposite, right? They come at it from, these are the games they've always wanted to make. Extremely exciting to be able to work with, people that come with that motivation.
You mentioned Stackpole. We got a lot of people wondering what his involvement is. Do you want to go into any detail on that today, or do you want to wait till tomorrow?
What do you want? I don't know. I'll ask the master of strategy.
You already said a little bit about it. So yeah, Mike has agreed to write an e-novella, a brand new original e-novella that takes place in the 3025 Succession War eras. And, Mike's a great guy. We're really excited to be working with him. The cool part is, and you guys get a sneak preview of this, is there's some parts of our Kickstarter that if we're successful, Mike will add more e-novellas over time. And you'll see that tomorrow. We've got missions for you, Mech Warriors. There are things for you to do. And if you can take some action and spread the BattleTech love, then Mike will write more.
So, Mike,
We're still talking about Stackpole here, right?
Yeah, sorry, Michael A. Stackpole, not Mike McCain.
There's a lot of Mikes.
Who's a fine writer, but he's got other things to do.
But yeah, so Mike, as you said in the video, right? I mean, we started collaborating early on, and his Warrior series of books, to me, were again one of those kind of early pillars that we built on. I mean, it was like great kind of codification. I mean, he wasn't the first BattleTech author, right? I think William Keith was the first author and did a great job with the Greatest Legion and. But then I think Mike, was the first kind of geopolitical author inside the world, and
very influential.
Oh yeah, and it kind of really helped set a great tone. And so I've enjoyed working with him ever since. He's definitely in the Graybeard camp, and he's just been fantastically excited about getting involved in this universe again and working with us on the game.
I can't say enough good things about the return of BattleTech fiction. I have and will continue rereading all of the classics. Some people have mentioned the cheesiness of the 80s novels. I don't care. I embrace it. I love it.
Embrace that.
Absolutely.
That's a historical artifact. That's cool.
It's a part of the character of the series, and I will continue reading them till the day I can't read anymore. But I'm so excited about more fiction coming out and Stackpole being involved. Again, you guys just, my face is gonna be sore tomorrow, no doubt about it. All this smiling.
So, got a follow-up question. How important is replayability for this title with you guys?
Very important, actually. And that's one thing. I think we're all really proud of our Shadowrun games, but it's a fairly one-shot sort of approach. You play through the story once, maybe twice.
Different character builds.
Yeah. With BattleTech, especially if we're able to hit some of the later funding stages, we can really do a lot more crafting an open-ended experience that back to whether it's just for skirmish play, like you want to challenge a new scenario that we've published, or
create your own.
Or just continuing to grow your mercenary outfit and take on new missions across the inner sphere. We really hope that this is a game some longevity for you.
But I think, as Mike said, replayability is kind of boiled into each stage of the funding. Like just even the base game that we're making, the whole premise is you can continually design your own challenges inside the skirmish game and keep playing those, stepping up the challenge, more and more as you're ready. As we get into campaign play, one of our goals there is to open up kind of first as a kind of more linear style campaign, and then the second stage, the stage above that, really opens it up into completely open-ended, right? So there you can just keep building your unit and keep on taking new challenges, and through the combination of released additional story crafted missions that we create and procedurally generated missions, you can keep playing hopefully forever. And then, of course, if we're lucky enough to get up to multiplayer, well, that obviously is the ultimate in terms of replayability, being able to challenge friends or get match made against new opponents. Kind of just opens it up forever.
Quick public
forever. Our beards are going to be.
Well, plus they have fancy holographic arenas on Solaris 7, so we can pretty much keep on grading whatever kind of scenarios we want for.
Yeah. We'll phone that in from the nursing home. Great.
We're all gonna have Gandalf beards. I'm already there. You guys got to catch up. Hey, quick.
I got a little work to do.
You'll get there. Quick public service announcement, guys. We got about 1,000 people in chat right now. We're attracting some bots. Please do not click on any links. We are getting some spam bots in there. Don't want anybody getting any viruses. For the rest of you in channel, please just post questions and comments. Do not post links. As excited as you are, we understand that, but we're just trying to keep everybody's computer safe. Phil, you got the next question?
Yep, we got this one from The Beef. For all those that don't know him, you should go check out his YouTube channel, by the way. How many players will the game be able to support? More than 1v1, I'm assuming, in co-op or PvP?
Good question. It's as we get into the multiplayer phase, kind of 1v1 is kind of like what we 100% sign up for. One of the reasons we're doing a lot of prototyping and experimenting early on during this pre-production is our hope to find a solution that scales well to more than 1v1. One of the challenges, of course, in a turn-based is that you don't want to sit around waiting forever. If you've got 3v3 or something, it can get really tedious to wait like 5 other people make their moves. And we're exploring different solutions that would make that a much more
palatable
experience. So we're not until we have one that we think 100% works. We're not going to commit to more than 1v1, but it is certainly a goal that we're trying to accomplish in our core structure of how the gameplay works, so that if we're lucky enough to hit the multiplayer mode, it will expand nicely.
All right, Antonius Rex.
Did Chris,
Oh,
the
go
lead
ahead.
engineer,
You okay, Chris?
Yeah,
we haven't said anything wrong.
Okay.
No,
All right, good.
Nobody's throwing.
He's not throwing. I'm looking down to see if I can see it, but he's not throwing anything at
We
us,
have thumbs up.
Yeah. All right.
Good. Antonius Rex has a follow-up in regards to the mechs and players. He says, is it going to be a lance only? Is that the limit? 4 mechs, bigger sizes, lance plus combined arms? Do you want to go into details on that at all?
Mike, why don't you take
Generally on the battlefield, a lance is what we're going for. We've found, both from our work on Shadowrun and other tactical games, that roughly 4 is kind of a sweet spot as far as battlefield command. That said, we do, in success of the Stage 3 campaign, want to open up your mercenary outfit to be able to expand to a mercenary company and actually have multiple lances in your work command, although not in your battlefield command.
Now, it's also possible, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to get punched on screen or anything. It's possible, during one mission, you might have your lance escorting a long tom, right, so that you could put artillery, right? You can control the long tom. How about that?
Sure.
Okay. See, that was...
Yeah, escorting is a little bit different, and it is certainly an objective type we want to add. But
that's not a one-off sort of thing.
Yeah, but I think in terms of being able to have the depth of tactical control, again, we go back to that kind of information overload challenge. We recently, just did this game Golem Arcana, and really were, kind of great experience in terms of just how much information can become palatable while you're playing in larger forces. And so we think it's best to optimize around the lance in terms of what you're commanding on the battlefield at any particular moment. As Mike said, our hope is that we can expand the mercenary units so you have multiple lances and you may have them deployed on different battlefields and be, because the big inner sphere is a big place, and shipping stuff around to all the planets takes time. And so if you have a larger unit, you can deploy into more places. You can even deploy into more theaters within the same planet. But in terms of an individual battlefield experience, we believe right now the best thing is to optimize around that command of 4.
I would describe it as a design philosophy. We don't intend to hard code the UI to only 4 ever.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next question, guys, and this is from... I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to skip it. Thank you for the question. He says, are there free-to-play elements in this game?
No.
No.
This is a premium title. So it's, for all of the single-player content, and all the way up through, hopefully into multiplayer. It's a single-purchase title. Now, there may be, in multiplayer, if we get that far, there may be kind of events which may have a price tag associated with them, but all of the game and playing with your friends in multiplayer is all just within the premium single purchase price.
Ongoing content is also a possibility too.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
we release a story pack, a new mission, a few months later.
Yeah,
small price tag on that.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. And potentially, again, these are not defined, but decoration, decorative
nose art,
customization,
something like that.
Things like that.
But we're not going to sell Myanmar's.
Yeah, no game components are.
But they could be gold plated.
That's your business, man. That's your right as an American.
So guys, we've been going for over an hour and a half already. Do you guys still do you have it in you to keep going? We got plenty of questions, so it's up to you.
How about 3 more?
Yeah, just because we
actually have to make the game.
Yeah, make game. But let's take 3 more.
All right, Phil, you got the next one? Hold
Put
on,
me
we're
on the spot
selecting.
there.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
what
Oh, I
do
do.
you
I
want?
got one. I got one.
Okay,
Mad
take it.
Morgan says, great name by the way. Death from Above.
Hell yes.
Yeah, it's not a BattleTech game unless you can do Death from Above.
Oh.
That's part of our kind of like commitment to sign up for Melee is to make sure that jump jets work and jump jet melee works. And so yes, you're going to be able to do Death from Above.
And thank you for the question.
Yeah. Next question is from Lelo Fadi. Says, if the game does well, will there be follow-up titles expanding on the story, gameplay further, similar to what you guys do with Shadowrun?
Yeah, we really hope so. That's certainly, we have all sorts of ridiculously grandiose plans on where we'd love to
I
take
love this
this.
we part.
Okay, I have all these ridiculous grandiose plans. Where
And
I'd
we
like to do-
agree, they're awesome. Again, in success.
Yeah, but again, it's as you said, it's kind of in success, right? Right now, it's like let's figure out how big this game is going to be, and that's going to be largely dependent upon the fans. And then let's get heads down, let's make it great, and then in that, it creates the opportunity for us to go to the next one.
All right. The Magician asks, will this game be 3D or isometric view?
McCain!
3D.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that sort of comes along with moving to Unity 5 and building an all new sort of simulation model for the game. We want to do full 3D. We want to show off these mechs, as cool as we can, and have very varied terrain that they can fight across and all that good stuff.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons that it's this first skirmish level game is a big investment from our standpoint, is because it is built within Unity, but it's a whole new game engine from our perspective in terms of all the systems we have to build in there. And the reason we want to go 3D is 100% 3D is not only to make the mechs look great, their interaction with the terrain to be much more detailed. In Shadowrun, for instance, which got a wonderful, unique look by creating a 2D painted terrain with 3D characters in it. Our ability to modify that painted terrain was very minor. Well, mechs tend to mess with the environment in a much more significant way. And so we needed to make sure we moved all of that into 3D. And also, we want to give hopefully a little more freedom of movement of the camera for both tactical and point of view.
Yep. That was 3 questions. I call for a bonus question.
So I do have a clarification that I think is on your Kickstarter, but someone asked this, and I think it's sort of important. But PC and what else are you guys supporting?
It's a cross-platform.
PC, Mac, and Linux.
Bam.
Bam.
All right. Well, that's good to know, and thank you guys. I do want to remind everybody.
We'll take a real bonus question.
Oh, do you want to do one?
Okay, that was a layup. That was a layup. Something challenging.
But real quick, Phil's going to find the best question he can find. As I say this last little announcement, we had tons of questions, guys, obviously. So again, we have another show later today, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard, 9 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UTC. We're going to try and cover as many questions that we didn't cover in this discussion in that one. So if you have more questions, if your question didn't get answered or whatever, please show up and we'll get as many of them in there as we can. We're sorry, but we're limited on time. People need to work, people need to eat and all that stuff. We'd go for hours because obviously we have that kind of passion for this. But anyway, we do need to do that. So be back 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the second showing. And Phil, what did you find? What's the lucky final question?
There's so many questions.
I know, it's so hard.
All right, so I think this is pertinent. Free Regent asks, when you say Merc Company, are we going to be able to choose from the established lore, or are we building our own, or is it both?
You'll be building your own outfit.
Yes.
There may be some interactions you can have with established mercenary companies. That's stuff that we're exploring still.
Right. So those companies will exist in the world that you're playing in. What we're exploring, and we don't know yet from kind of how the design works, is how tight of a relationship you can create with those existing lore companies. And part of that is,
could you be a franchise?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Could you be a unit within Wolf's Dragoons or a unit within, the Kellhounds? That part we don't know. We do know, you're able to build your own from scratch, and we do know those exist. Now the question is, from a design standpoint, can we figure out a way that you can connect with them without turning it into an OP kind of experience for the campaign? And frankly, we're just too early in development to know that yet.
All right, awesome, guys. That is going to wrap it up for today. I want to say, Randall, Russ, and Michael, thank you for your messages pre-show. Jordan, Mitch, and Mike. Well, first of all, Jordan, Mitch, so good to have you guys back to the franchise. Can't say that enough. I know tons of people feel that way. Mike, great to have you to the franchise. Can't wait to see the work that you do. This is I mean, this is like a childhood dream come true for me. And it's just amazing. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. It's great to have you guys in the audience. Like I said, it's the best community, in my opinion, in the world. It's just an amazing community. Great questions today. I hope we get more later today. Thank you for everybody that's helping out behind the scenes. We've had, let's see, Catrikel, Rodian, Impaler, Zoaf, Antonius Rex, and all the other mods in chat. Thank you guys. Appreciate your support and help. And everybody,
yes, thank you all very much.
Indeed, everybody else that's been helping, and the people behind the scenes at Hairbrained as well. I know you guys, it takes a lot of work to do all of this. You guys have been scrambling.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris, yes, thank you for your technical help. Absolutely, a round of applause for everybody that's been involved. And yeah, I just can't wait to see this passion become reality. So again, thank you, and we can't wait to see you in the second show later today.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
10 a.m. Alpha Strike. Take down their servers.
Absolutely.
Don't do that because then you can't.
Oh yeah, because then
I know,
we
but
can't
we'll
make more
make big news.
Money.
Let's
We'll be on the news.
set a record. And hey guys, if you haven't already followed us, click the little heart on the left side of the screen. That way you'll get a notification when we do go live later today for the next show. So please do follow. And we're excited to be with you again later. We'll see you then.
All right,
Thanks
guys.
so much for hosting us. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll see you guys in a few hours. Until next time, MechWarriors.
Peace.